Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to give an update on the 2028 presidential election. I might do one of these videos maybe once every 2 months or something like that, where I go through the recent betting odds, what I've been hearing, what is the trend when it comes to the potential Democratic nominee, the Republican nominee, and who I think it ultimately will be. So obviously it is very early, and right now I would say both parties are in a much different place when it comes to the Republicans right now, seemingly very likely going with JD Vance. It was kind of obvious after Trump won, Vance was going to be the favorite. There were some other people that have kind of dropped off, like Vivek, and we'll discuss that when we get to the Republican side. But right now, with the Democrats, this is a party. And I saw a poll a few weeks ago where they just polled US citizens on who is the leader of the Democratic Party. And the winning candidate was nobody. There was a one of the answers was nobody, and it had like 36%. Second place was like Newsom with 12%, or I think it was Kamala with 12%. But it just goes to show you right now, if you look at any poll when it comes to the 2028 Democratic nominee, Kamala, I think, is at like 30%, which is not going to happen. There's no way. There's just no way they would try Kamala again. The only thing I can say in terms of that is, oh, maybe they think it's like a Trump situation, because Trump did lose in 2020 and then came back and got revenge. So they think she's going to get revenge. There's no way. There's no way. And remember, the Democratic establishment controls this party, so whoever they want is who it's going to be. I know Democratic voters might find that insulting, but that's just how it is. Look at 2016 with Bernie against Hillary. Look at 2020 when they orchestrated everyone to drop out and endorse Biden. And then look at 2024 when RFK Jr. wanted to run. They basically kicked him out of the party and said, no, you must vote for Biden. And then there was some infighting with Biden and Kamala when it comes to the situation there. It seemed like a lot of the DNC establishment wanted there to be an open convention, and Biden immediately endorsed Kamala, which forced the entire rest of the party to endorse Kamala. But in general, I mean, and that's not even the voters picking it, because remember, the Democratic voters technically voted for Biden in the primaries because the party didn't give them any other choice. There were no other candidates, or there were basically no other real candidates, I will say. And Biden was the incumbent, but still, based on his health, you would think they would at least do something, but they shut it down completely. So looking at this, you've got Newsom, Shapiro, Wes Moore from Maryland up to 9%. Buttigieg at 8%. We'll see what happens in 2026 with Buttigieg in Michigan. Whitmer. I saw a recent poll out of Michigan, and it was very disappointing. It had Gretchen Whitmer's approval rating at like plus 25. I mean, Michigan's a swing state, but look, the most cookie cutter ticket here is Newsom and Whitmer, 100%, with Newsom being the presidential candidate, Whitmer being the VP. Because the problem with Newsom is being from California, and also, I never thought Newsom was going to be the 2028 pick. To me, it just seemed like he peaked too early. Like, if he was going to, be the nominee, it would have been happened in 2024. The wildfire situation, the money mismanagement, I can't see it being Newsom. Newsom's just a filler name because he's popular and there's name recognition. Josh Shapiro, it's not going to be Josh Shapiro. I mean, maybe Josh Shapiro as a VP. Shapiro is kind of a, being Jewish and the whole situation with, I cannot see it being Shapiro. I can't see it being Wes Moore. I can't see it being Buttigieg. I really think someone is going to, to be fair, there is Kamala Harris. I'm surprised Kamala's all the way down at 6% based on the polls. Stephen A. Smith. I mean, if you're going to go with an outsider, Jon Stewart, I would feel, is 100 times better than Stephen A. Smith. But you're going to get people like Stephen A. and Jon Stewart. It's the drawn out grift of, oh, I'm a Democrat, but I can actually criticize the Democratic Party. And you're going to get like, a certain amount of candidates that are like outsiders. It's like it's like a Trump variant, basically. We're not career politicians, and yes, we're Democrats, but we can criticize the Democratic Party. Oh my goodness. That must mean we're independents and we can get the independent vote. But I think Jon Stewart is probably the guy for that if they want to roll with someone like that. AOC is too young and still too extreme. She's trying to rebrand. A lot of these people are trying to move away from woke and take the pronouns out, and she's been a little bit more, rather than socialist, more just establishment Dem. She's trying to run for office. but she might run just to get her name in the headlines with a few debates and have, her energy and whatever, and then set up a run again in 2032. Michelle Obama, I mean, I'm not even sure it's possible for her with the potential divorce with Barack. Yeah, there's Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban is another one. So it would be like Fetterman. I don't think. I mean, the Democrats would never at this point vote for Fetterman. People are saying he's going to switch parties. It doesn't. It's irrelevant either way. But Bashir is kind of just a soy boy. He's not going to be it. Pritzker. Pritzker is. You really think they're going to pick a multi-billionaire? And they act like Pritzker is this, they own. See, that's the thing with Democrats. They say they hate billionaires. There's like 5 billionaires on this list. Well, no, but there's at least a few. But yeah, Pritzker, the big fella. I mean, maybe in a battle with Chris Christie, but it's just not going to happen in terms of the Democratic nomination. Roy Cooper, he's a yes man. He's a no one. Is that all of them? Yeah, I think that's all of them. Yeah, so I would say it's probably going to be, right now, I can't see it being anyone here. I mean, I guess Newsom. Whitmer, I can't see leading a ticket. I think they're going to choose a man on the Democrats, because they've done the whole Hillary Kamala thing, But who knows? Maybe maybe it will be AOC. I just can't see it being AOC as young as she is. Cuban is like the try-hard, wannabe liberal who tried to he campaigned hard towards the end. He was like the wannabe Elon Musk. He hates Elon Musk because Elon is more successful and has more control than him. And so he started campaigning for Kamala because he saw Elon campaigning for Musk. And then he tried to leading everything and hiding all of it. And now he's saying he wants to work with Trump and bring people together. And so he's going to kick off his campaign. He's going to launch his meme coin. It's going to be act like a donation to where he donates it to go against U.S. debt, and he's like this hero. It's horrible what Cuban is doing, but it's not going to be Cuban. I wouldn't think. But if it is going to be like one of those type of people, you're looking at a Stephen A, a Cuban, or a. But I don't even think Stephen A knows much about politics. Honestly, you listen to him; it's very mainstream bullshit. The Democrats don't pay attention to voters. It's just like there's no substance to it. But it's like Stephen A, Cuban, and Jon Stewart. If they could get Jon Stewart, those would be like the outsiders, I guess. But I mean, like any of these people, Buttigieg leading a ticket, good luck. It's not gonna happen. Maybe as a VP, but even yeah, I don't know. Wes Moore is too bland. I don't see it. I mean, I guess they just don't have a lot of good candidates right now. I feel like. I would say Stewart if I had to pick, honestly, but I don't even know if he wants to run. But it's just like, who else do you want me to pick? And then moving on to the Republican, Vance is the clear favorite. Trump is ahead of his son. DeSantis. Yeah, DeSantis is going through a little bit of a revival there. I mean, DeSantis is loved by Florida, and he certainly helped turn the state to the right. There's no doubt about that. He had that spat with MAGA, and it really hurt his image within the Republican Party, but he still has a good approval rating in Florida. But yeah, it's going to... So this is the thing. As long as Trump still has good standing within the Republican Party, he controls the entire party right now. MAGA is the party. The establishment has very little say over anything. That's what we saw with Nikki Haley. The establishment went, they rallied behind her, and it was not even a primary. We knew from the Iowa caucus Trump was going to win. He didn't have to do any of the debates. It was a joke, because when you control the party like that, it's just so overwhelming. So it comes down to, as long as Trump keeps control of the Republican Party, whoever Trump wants is who it's going to be, I would imagine, even if it's his son. Because there is the idea that, you're a father, you want your son. I'm not saying that's what Trump's going to do. I'm just saying there's that idea. That's why I've seen a number of polls with Don Jr. at like 20%. Vance is at like 35%. So he's like clearly in second place, and a lot. Now, I don't want Don Jr. I do not. But I'm just saying what could happen with MAGA and with the base. But Vance, if the administration does what Republicans want them to do, and right now Trump certainly, it's very, very early. We'll see. There's a lot of situations that are going to be playing out. But as long as everything goes kind of how we think it's going to go, Vance is probably going to be a likely shoo-in. You never know with politics. There's probably going to be a few people that try and challenge it. But if it is a relatively good term for Trump, I highly doubt DeSantis would try and challenge Vance. It would more so be a more like an establishment, a true establishment Republican, like a Nikki Haley running again, maybe someone else along that realm that's a little bit younger. You you've got RFK Jr. here. RFK Jr. It's like, yeah, if he solves the, if he makes America healthy within 4 years, I guess he could run as a Republican. I mean, maybe as a VP, like him as a VP. I know a lot of people are talking about Marco Rubio being, and you can see Marco Rubio at 5%. I mean, Marco Rubio has had a lot of positive momentum within the Republican Party when it comes to what he's been doing, and just in terms of his, I mean, I've heard a lot of people saying it's going to be Vance Rubio. I thought it was going to be Vance Tulsi. I mean, we'll see what happens. Tulsi hasn't even gotten in yet. We'll see how well she does. But she's definitely going to be in the news a lot. Byron Donalds is another potential VP. It's definitely not going to be Kemp either way. Katie Britt, it kind of reminds me of like the Stefanik and Noam. But in general, it just comes down to whatever Trump wants, as long as he still has control of the party. And then there's also the idea that Trump runs for a third term. I know a Republican introduced something that said presidential candidates, I guess, can run for a third term if their first two terms, this is what I presume it is, if their first two terms are not served consecutively, which would be Trump, because Trump served from 17 to 21 and then had that 4-year gap, and now it's 25 to 28. And so I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, but the thing is with Trump, this is the problem. If Trump was like 68 years old, I would be like, based on everything that Trump's doing right now, let's be honest, Trump's going to manipulate this to run again. I mean, let's just call it what it is. But the problem is he's too old now. Because what is he going to be? 82? And at that point, you're really starting to sacrifice your legacy. Look at what happened with Biden. Now, Trump's going to age, and he has aged way better than Biden. But that's when it starts being a real issue. If Trump was, again, if he was like 70, I'm like, and his approval rating is good enough, and he thinks he's probably going to win, I mean, I don't know if he'd be able to actually do it. There are ways to reinterpret certain amendments that could allow for Trump to run for a third term. Now, how much of that is needed through Congress? Can that go to the Supreme Court to reinterpret it? But I think the age is the biggest issue with Trump. So I would say right now, Vance, and then the Democrats probably go with an outsider. I mean, the cookie cutter is Vance against Newsom. The VP for Vance probably right now. I mean, would DeSantis be the VP for Vance? Would he want to take that? Would he be relevant? Would Trump want his son as VP? Would it really matter? I mean, if Vance is the nominee, Trump still is holding the power even out of office. Just like we saw with Obama with Biden. Trump is going to have a significant power there. There's no doubt about it. That's just the dynamic of bringing Vance in, and Vance owing his political career and the rise of it heavily to Donald Trump. And so there's a loyalty that's built up to where Vance is going to be very loyal to Trump. And so if Trump trusts Vance, he endorses him, Vance is the shoo-in nominee in 28. Another person I didn't talk about, Ramaswamy. Yeah, Ramaswamy was kind of a wild card. With what he said recently, obviously, he's running for governor of Ohio. And it just seems like the whole Doge thing and the H-1B, and he said some other things even after that, to where I still think, most people watching this video, you're probably very online. A lot of just normal Republicans that I've seen still do like Ramaswamy, but I understand people who are online and they heard what he said, and the essay tweet to where he said, Americans are, trust me, I made several videos about it, but I'm just saying there's a lot of very normie conservatives who I think still like Ramaswamy, just from what I've seen. Youngkin maybe as a VP, maybe. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I would say in terms of the analysis right now of 2028. Either way, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.